indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do you want to speak?
The meeting was set for the 24th of January at 6:30 PM, and I don't know why. But it doesn't appear that this is the 24th of January.
I think you got the wrong thing.
I don't think so. Oh, you changed it.
I didn't change it.
Well,
The 14th.
you updated it, I'll put it that way.
The other ones are there if you need one. But go ahead.
It's
take it.
the 14th of February at 2012, 6:30 PM. And Keith, you have the roll call.
Yes.
That's taken care of. Purpose of the meeting is to allow the Board of Selectmen to begin looking at budget proposal for fiscal year 2012-13. The focus for the meeting will be to review and discuss the fire department budget. As you know, there's nothing we can do with the budget as far as passing it, or the only thing we can do at this stage of the game is to take a look at it and hopefully digest what the figures are and go from there. At such time as we have a board quorum, at that point, we'll be able to do something as far as actually working the budget. So,
If I may, and I think we talked about it before we start with him. Yeah, okay.
yeah, well,
All right. One of the things that we probably want to continue to do is to have these meetings and go through the rest of the budget as we progress through this transition time that we have with the elections that will be held on April 3rd. I think what the board may want to do is encourage the folks that do take out their papers to attend these meetings that you'll be having, to avail themselves of the information that will be presented. And once we know who those candidates are, we'll provide them some background information so they can be up to speed. And then after the vote, we'll have a determination who the three new selectmen will be. But it will assist you in your budget development, because once as the annual town meeting has now been pushed back and will be held on June 27th, as opposed to May, we've got, once the new board members are put on, there'll be a 42-day period prior to officially setting the warrant that will take place. So I think having these folks here when you're going through it will be important as you finalize your budgets.
Yeah, I think we agree with that they should sit in and listen.
Okay, very good.
Ask questions if they choose.
We're all set?
you ready to speak, Dennis, to your budget?
Yep, whatever.
Yep, fine.
Is ready to move forward.
Yeah, however you would like to attack it tonight. We've provided to you the background information is provided to the board from the department head, from Chief Plant. Right now, this budget reflects, let's see, an increase of $24,002 from $513,347 to $537,349. The budget sheets that you have those numbers on them, and the explanation sheets are behind them. So whatever your pleasure is, we certainly can try to answer your questions.
Well, for one, because we're financially kind of strapped here, I think we need to reduce any and all budgets to some degree. Last year, I requested a 10% cut, and I would do the same this year. I'm not saying that's the final thing, never intended to. However, according to my figures, we've gone up about 10,000 this year, I believe. And maybe I'm reading the wrong figures, but that's what I see. Some of those fixed costs, some of those cost above and beyond. The one question I have is particular is your volunteer statement was not used last year totally, according to this. So therefore, I'm wondering if that shouldn't be cut back some.
You're talking about the item number 3 on the warrant,
Yep.
firefighter call?
Yep.
Okay.
I have a total, Bob, of 65,000, is that what you're referring to?
Yep.
And I don't have what I actually spent on this.
Right now, we had, as of this, we had an actual of 51,408, actual.
The call wages include all our training. They include bringing people in to do the hose testing that needs to be done every year. I can't answer that at this particular point. I still have until July 1st, where I'm gonna be bringing people in. So, you know, we had emergencies take place that kind of, I was pre-planning for to make sure that if it did happen, we'd have the funding to pay it. So we may be able to cut some there at this point.
Well, I don't, I could be wrong, but I'm not reading any repair or calling in anything on the call wages. That's a separate.
Well,
No, it's labor. It's the cost to have people respond to calls, trainings, for whatever purpose we need them for. That's all encompassed in the call wages.
there's a point system that's been established by the department, and based on their qualifications and their responsibilities, there's certain dollar amounts that are placed on each personnel that is under this category, and then as they frequent, go to the trainings, come to calls, they accumulate a point system. And correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but I also think don't you have a committee that reviews the point systems, and then,
Yeah, basically, the point system was established years ago, and if you look at the point system today, you could actually say it was per hour rate. The per hour rate,
I guess what I'm saying is, in your last year's budget, again, you requested 65,000, but according to this, you spent 55,388 to do basically the same thing as you're gonna do this year. Is that
Well,
true?
that may be true, because I think at one time, I think the minimum wage had just gone up to $7.75, I think it is.
so,
And that adjustment hasn't been made yet, which will be made. Prior to that, it was a minimum of $7.50 that we were paying them.
It just doesn't appear that that's, justifies another increase.
Again, I made,
You know?
like I said, I try to have funding available so that during emergencies that I don't go over my budget, yet stay as close as I can to,
do you want us to track that back to see what our outstanding liability's been over the past several years, so you have an idea?
That might be a good idea.
Okay.
Well, I'm just going by what was expended last year as opposed to what was
Oh,
proposed last year.
I totally understand, you know, and it's based on call volume, it's based on frequency of people that are on the department that attend meetings and training. And that stuff is getting even more technical for the department as well. So I'll track that back for you so you can have a better understanding of what that is. And according to this budget thing I have here of January 5th, we've already spent close to almost 27,000. And I haven't looked at my new sheet this year. So 6 months through the year, you're tracking about 52, 53. So
Yeah, we've got to spread this budget out another month, haven't we?
what do you mean?
This budget, this past year's budget, 2012 budget, has to be spread out the end of June.
It always is.
Oh,
Even though
that's
we,
right, too, July 1st is that.
Yeah.
Dennis, how often do you test the hose, have to test the hoses?
once a year, Ellen, there's about 12,000 feet that has to be tested manually.
And by doing that, how do you do that?
Right now, we have an engine, usually we go out into the church parking lot, we set the hose up, and we have people testing the hose, they have to put it together, test it for so many minutes, and then undo it, and then hang it, and repack the trucks. and
Then go back and get another one?
It's labor intense.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to,
One thing that we will change tonight at this particular juncture is the dispatch cost as reflective in this budget. We had proposed 37, and we're gonna go back to last year's original proposal, which is 35,042. And it matches what we had put aside in the police department budget as well, because if you recall, South Berwick has indicated to me at this point that they're going to hold firm on their dispatch costs for this year. So if that changes as they go through their budget process, I'll certainly let you know, but at this point, we're anticipating that's gonna be the same as last year.
Same as last year.
so that's just not, just under 2,000?
Yeah, just under $2,000 that we can modify back at this particular juncture.
Okay, and all your training, Dennis, comes under the call, firefighters under the call thing here?
As far as their pay,
Yeah,
yes.
and the point system, as however it works, their pay goes up a little bit, if their points go up,
Yeah, it averages out right now that between $7.50.
yeah.
Which I'm gonna have to increase that, because I think we need to make it at least minimum wage.
Well, by law, you gotta.
Yeah, well, we've gotten to that point, but it's $12 for the max. Now, on top of that, if an individual comes into the department and we provide the training, and they're capable of driving each truck, depending upon whether it's an engine, or the Quint, or the tank truck, then we bring their pay scale up about 25 cents, depending upon what level of qualifications they have. So
Do all your drivers have to have a CDL?
Not at this point, but it is coming.
Okay.
Yeah, it's starting in March, actually next month.
I'm surprised they don't anyway, but they have,
The fire service was exempt for many, many years, but that process is changing for a number of reasons.
okay.
That Homeland Security grant, that has run out, right?
All the grants, with the exception of the forestry grant and the SAFER grant, has run out, yes.
And the safest only got this is the last year.
This upcoming year, yes. And the town picks up the full portion for that. That was one of the major increases in the budget for the 23,000.
Dennis, how far ahead do you get a notice of a grant? But no, I guess that's not the question. I want to know, what type of grants can you get? Can you get maintenance grants? Can you get this type, that type? And I'm sure you can get more than.
We have been applying for grants since 2003.
Yeah, I remember that.
Up until 2007, we weren't fortunate enough to be able to obtain those. But FEMA has several grant programs out there, and those are the only ones that I've really dealt with. I know other agencies have them. But you can go after vehicles, you can go after manpower, you can go after fire prevention activities, which we've tried for. The SAFER grant, which was the manpower one. They did have one year in 2009 a grant for a station, which I did apply for. Unfortunately, we weren't able to be put on the list. But so they have several areas that you can apply for.
But do they ever have a maintenance grant to maintain the building?
No,
No.
not through FEMA that I'm aware of. No.
But how do you know about the grants and the other things, even FEMA? How did they send you notices? of
Yeah,
these grants?
it's on the web, it's on the internet. Anybody has access to it as far as the information and as the grant program goes along. But that's how I got involved with it,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
I've asked Keith, and I kind of would like to see the CEP money and how it was spent. Um, all we get basically is just a generic kind of CEP money. I think we need to see, I just want to make sure that the money is being spent in the right direction, because obviously there's some work needs to be done on the station, and nobody will deny that, but my impression, and perhaps I'm wrong, but my impression is the CEP money is to be used for capital improvement program. And I know that we see it on a monthly basis as an expenditure to some degree. I just want to make sure that we're using it in the right direction. So that's something it would be helpful if that was available.
What would you like us, how would you like us to provide that to you? Mr. Creighton?
If nothing more, just straight vouchers, if that's
Okay, so,
method that you've
because
got.
right now, we've had a bunch that had equipment, and we have one that's more of a universal piece. What I can do at your next meeting is I'll provide to you a breakdown of the money when it was allocated and what expenditures we had over any given year. And so you can see where that money's been spent.
It's not, I guess I'm new at this, but my question basically is, what is it physically spent for?
Sure.
That's my question. I want to make sure that, and I would hope that we could put more money into a CEP account to take care of some of our expenses that come at a high price tag. I mean, I'm in favor of that, certainly, but if we're putting money aside in a non-lapsing account, and it isn't there at the end of the budget year, probably that money should have been put into the budget itself, in the straight budget. So my question basically is, should we be putting it into the capital improvement budget earmarked for something in particular, or just throw it in there to be expended?
We've done it, we've done it in two ways. In the past, we've indicated to put aside money for equipment purchases.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1 year, we broadened that to include equipment, maintenance, replacement, maintenance. I can't remember the rest of it. I'll have to look and find it for you. But it was broader because it allowed us to have a little more flexibility in making some purchases, so it wasn't as narrowly defined. That was provided and approved. So I'll get you the sheet if you'd like to see those capital expenditures. And if you want, we can take a recess. I go over and get a sheet, but you've seen it. I
Yeah.
think you've seen that one. What you
It's
want,
it's just a back
Right,
sheet,
you
and all
wanna
that
have-
is a straight figure that has
Correct.
been expended, that's all.
and you want to have absolute
breakdown.
detail as to where that
Yeah.
is. Okay.
Yeah.
We can provide that.
Because I recall last year, Dennis, you mentioned about, is it engine 3 would not pass inspection?
Yeah, we did get that fixed up so that we could, but that is an issue that we're gonna have to address sooner or later. I did provide, and I don't know that I provided it to Keith when I was asked, but this is a list of our equipment.
Oh, that's a good idea, yeah. I think we got every one of those. Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
And that's the year of them?
Yes, that's the, how many we have of each, that's the year, what type of vehicle it is, and the present mileage on it.
What's number 3, Dennis?
3 would be the 1990, the one right at the top, Bob.
Oh, okay.
That's,
And this is the one that appears incapable of passing inspection as of last year.
well, again, we made some body repairs, but I have we'll provide you with some pictures of that unit so that you get a better feel for the condition it's in. I had that particular vehicle refurbished.
This is engine 3.
Excuse me, I had that vehicle refurbished back in 2001 at a cost of, I think it was right around $18,000. That took care of the body repairs to try to extend its life back then. But as you can see, the salt doesn't really help.
Not only your vehicles. How does the mileage on these compare? Because, 26,000 miles is not a lot, but I know that you can't compare that mileage as I would on a car.
In the fire service, the mileage is, in most cases, unless you're in a big district someplace, is minimal, but it's the wear and tear of the vehicle sitting there, pumping, the engine running with
Yeah.
the pump. And again, the salt really, I mean, I've got 2 other vehicles right now, my newest one and the Quint that's got some rusting going on that I'm gonna need to take care of, at least on a temporary basis here, soon.
Well, I guess that brings to a point that, for 18,000, you get that vehicle running and operating. I'm wondering, that's a minuscule amount compared to a new vehicle, no question about it. And I'm wondering if we aren't missing the boat by keeping that unit up.
Well, I think we have kept it up as much as we can keep it up. I can provide you with the maintenance records if you'd like from day one, since we've had it, what we've done to it, and how we've tried to maintain it. That vehicle right now is what we consider a backup piece.
Yep.
And that's what it's basically used for. It's run every month, it's started every day. Oil change service is kept up to date, but it's just the age and the rust, and we will have to spend considerable amount of money in the near future.
It might be interesting to know what it would cost to, to put that back into a real serviceable condition.
I can get you a price to do that.
Yeah, I think that's.
What, to completely refurbish it? Is that what you,
To put it back in service, not necessarily put a new frame under it and all that, but to rebuild perhaps a portion of the frame, weld in some plates, take care of the rust. I mean, it's obvious the rust hasn't been taken care of here in quite some time.
Well, the
with that
rust that you're
picture.
seeing there, I mean, the vehicle has been taken care of.
Yeah.
The rust that you see is underneath the vehicle.
Yeah, but I mean, that's part of the vehicle. If it's rusting underneath.
Yeah, but when you say it hasn't been taken care of, it has been taken care of.
Can you have these vehicles undercoated when you buy them new? Do you?
As far as I know, that may be an option, but I know if you buy a new vehicle today, they tell you don't bother because it's the metal's supposed to be, I mean, I'm not an expert in that field, but again, if we ever get to the point where we do look at purchasing, and we can ask that question, but
Why I asked, I have a friend who had a car that the whole underneath was rusted out, and they told it was the salt, and it wasn't that older car. And so and I wondered because, well, I know Junior, when he got a truck, he had his trucks undercoated. Right? We never did a car, just a truck.
I think it would be helpful if we knew what those prices might be, Dennis, if we could get,
to refurbish.
yeah, to get 3 quotes so we can take a look at them and.
Yeah, I'll be more than glad to do that. One of the things that, in the fire service, the number of years of service, usually over 20 years, they don't start recognizing them anymore. But and most people who refurbish fire apparatus will tell you the same thing, but I'll be more than glad to get what you've asked for.
Well, it's not much different than the school department. They, 10-year-old bus, they have to have a new one, so.
Is it still in effect that
thank you.
is the age of your, the age of your fire department equipment according to the town's insurance rate? Remember that used to be that way, Dennis?
I'm glad you just brought that up. I think several months ago, I know that Industrial Service Protection or agency came in and reclassified the town of Berwick. They do it every 10 to 11 years. And as a result of them coming back in, the town's insurance rate classification had changed from a 5.9 to a 3/8B, which I can't tell you what that cost effect of that would be, but it's gonna be reduced on your homeowner's insurance, your business insurance. And as a result of that, and the majority of that recognition was because of the upgrades in the water district that we did over the years, as well as our training programs, as well as our equipment, including maintenance. That report, I believe I provided to the town manager, and it's available, it's online if anybody's interested in looking at it. But this is the report.
But that hasn't changed, you still have to keep your equipment up and
Oh, yes,
everything in order to
yes.
get a.
You know, I
but
mean, it's up to the
but that's
town.
pretty good
It's-
that's pretty good reduction, I would think.
Yeah, we did well. We really did as a town. It showed some drastic improvements. Like I said, I think it was 11 years since the last time they were here.
I think I was on the board when the last time that we did that.
But the major improvement was because of the upgrades in the water system.
What you're saying then, it's about time for them to do that again?
They just
They
did.
just
Just
did.
did it,
They
he
just
said.
did.
Oh, that is the new
This
one,
is it.
okay.
They
yeah,
got it
okay.
reduced quite a bit.
You want a
Actually, they
copy
did
of it, we
it,
can provide you one.
in July of this.
It
Yeah.
does, you. Good. I just got just a simple question here. You say you got training up here in the, called, this training down here you've got travel training. What does that training consist of?
That
The
training-
material?
Yeah, when you look at the call wages,
Yeah.
that pays the people to come in and do their trainings and their whatever needs to be done. The training amount that you see there allows me to send out my people to certification class, which includes firefighter 1, firefighter 2, and any other classes that come in that they need, the incident command system, the NIMS training, any type of training activity that goes on, not only for the on-call firefighters, but for my full-time staff in my offices. So that's a program, it's about $800. Let me back up. Probably closer to $6 to send somebody out for the 280 hours training that they need to accomplish what they
They
need.
have to have 280 hours, so they
Yeah.
can't do that in a day. So
No,
they have
and
to do-
we do a lot of it. I have certified instructors on the department that put a real good effort into it, but if things are changing, as you indicated, the CDL is gonna be a requirement here down the road for all our drivers. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now, you haven't changed your gas and oil. Do you really think that you're gonna be able to buy gas at the same price?
Well, again, I've
Just
tried to,
praying.
I've tried to maintain at least some level, and, no, I guess you're probably right, it probably won't stay the same.
Do you consider your maintenance bill high? I mean, I certainly have nothing to go by.
Yeah, let me back up a couple of years. I think up until, well, maybe it was last year, we had a maintenance budget, I believe it was around $20,000, $20,000. And we did our regular servicing and that type of thing. We have $3 million worth of equipment sitting in the station over there that has to be maintained. We don't have the oil changed every 6 months. It's done once a year or whenever needed. The pump repairs on that apparatus can run anywheres. In fact, I'm having one done now that's got a leak, and I think it was right around $3,000. So I had to increase my maintenance budget. It's just the wear and tear. The vehicles are getting older, and I'm not sure where I am at this point in time on the, I think I have somewhere around $19,000 left in that account at this point, out of $40,000 for maintenance.
I remember one year you got a rock and a pump,
Mm-hmm.
and that cost us.
That came out of the hydrant system, and we
Yeah.
had to replace the pump for
Almost like
about
a
$23,000.
Yeah. I remember that one.
Well, I guess as far as I'm concerned, we gotta take a look at budget and our costs to operate as a community And I'm not prepared to make any statements at this point, but if you could review that and come up with those figures, that would be helpful. I would suggest that even to this point, and I haven't asked this of the highway department or the police department, police come in at 42,000 less than last year at this stage of the game. And
Excuse me?
that's what you told me.
No, police budget's $79,155 more than last year,
Yeah,
as presented.
yeah, that's right. I remember that. In fact, I was thinking 76, but you say 79.
Public Works is up $7,200, almost $7,300.
Now, now this increase is 2402, right?
Excuse me?
$24,002 is the increase here.
Yes. And now we can take almost $2,000 out of that.
Oh, that's
I'll
right,
make
too.
those adjustments for you and provide those data to you based on the dispatch. And then we'll look at, we'll give you a history of past expenditures, firefighter call,
Yeah.
past expenditures.
It
We'll
would
give you a
be,
breakdown of the capital improvement, so you have a specific estimate.
it would be interesting to see our call records, just what kind of fires we've had.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that-
Provide
that's- Yeah, that would be kind of interesting to see that.
Sure.
Maybe, we must have last year's too.
How much data would you like?
Yeah, we can go back years if you'd like.
Yeah.
Why don't you just go back 1 year?
Okay.
That'd be fine. And just compare to see, if our apartment is, which it probably is, without a question, busier than it was.
Sure. We'll provide the information to you, no problem.
Okay, good.
Yep.
And I realize that all your calls are not directly to a fire.
Oh, no,
There's
not
other-
today.
there's other reasons out there that you call, you have to go. And what conditions is the Buffalo in? I'm asking this for Adelaide Dumont.
Uh, The Buffalo runs, there was a problem with the transmission, and I didn't have the funding to repair it, but it will run, and it's been on the road probably a couple of years ago was the last time, but it does run, and it's,
It's still an antique.
oh, yeah.
And in Triumph?
Well,
we haven't-
Triumph's out back, we replaced, the association replaced the wheels on it.
Oh, you
and,
did replace those wheels?
Mhm.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and it's just funding it's still there, and we bring it out once in a while.
There's some money in the bank, isn't there, Dennis? It's a few thousand in that checking account that was set up with the
Yes.
society and
Yes.
everything?
Yes, that's when we did the fundraiser back several years ago.
Yeah. And now what needs to be done now that we got the wheels done?
Last time I checked with the people who refurbish that type of unit, it was gonna cost around $50,000 to refurbish it back to a state where you could really, consider it. I mean, it is an antique, but,
Oh, I know, it is. And it's a precious one, too.
oh, absolutely.
It'd be nice if we could afford to, I doubt we can do it this year.
Maybe the Historical Society has some money.
We have,
We-
we certainly, well, I'm just one. But before we all die off, which couldn't be too far off, we probably should make a decision what to do with some of the money we got
Okay.
left. 'Cause but we don't have enough.
You're not going anywhere yet.
We
You're
don't have 50,000.
too feisty to,
Are there any other questions at this juncture?
not at this
Well-
point for me.
Well,
I think you've given us a list.
Okay, I'm not sure whether I provided you with a copy of the updated capital improvements proposal. If you don't have it, there is a copy of it.
Why don't you guys take that?
I realize that I wasn't asked to do that, but I thought you might have it, just so
well, that's
that
good.
you have some idea.
It's always the department's wish list.
Yeah. Oh, so you got 10,000 each year for, to update the radio system. How much, that's what it's gonna cost, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 60,000?
Yeah, back in 1990, I'm gonna say 6, the town, we were having radio difficulties between police, fire, highway. We weren't able to get to certain areas of town. Back then, the town approved, I think it was right around in the neighborhood of $58,000 to upgrade, put a repeater system in, which is, the repeaters and the antennas are actually located at the water tower.
Okay, I remember that.
And we've upgraded.
Okay.
And like I said, that was 10, 11, 12 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Now, with the narrow banding coming out, we need to start planning for the future. And that future may mean, and most likely will, is upgrading our radios, because the radios we have cannot be upgraded to the standard that we're gonna be needing to meet down the road. So, and I, with the board's permission, hopefully down the road, I'll be able to apply for a grant or funding to do that too. But that will be a challenge, I think. But sooner or later, the town's gonna have to really take a hard look at the radio systems.
Now, is that thing still on the water tower up there?
The antennas?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're working?
Yes.
You don't have a dead spot like we did?
We don't have the dead spots, but because the government has come out and said that all the frequencies that we're using right now have to go, this is complicated, have to go to narrow banding by January of 2013, which is next year, which means people that are on the standard frequency today have all got to go buy new radios, change their license over, because you will not be able to operate on the other frequency. But because of that's happening, the channels that we're on now are starting to receive more and more interference, which is presenting some communications problems. So that's where we're gonna have to end up looking at going at the next step of communications.
Now, the money for the command vehicle, is that cost $90,000? Is that
Well,
because the
by the time-
equipment that's in it?
If you look at it, I think it was, how much, was it 10,000, I think? per year?
25,000 for the first two, and then 10 for four.
Well, again, we didn't have a capital improvements that covered a vehicle for the last couple of years. Actually, the town manager wanted to put one in last year, and I said, let's go with this. This one that we have right now has 83,000 miles on it, and hopefully it'll get by for another year or so. But again, the capital improvement was to try to put funding, aside, so that when the time comes, we can do what we need to do.
But how much do they cost, 90,000?
I'd say right now, probably for something like that, and I'm probably saying close to 30, 40 anyways.
Oh.
If you was to go to buy one today, I would suspect that's
How much
probably-
equipment do you have to put in one of those?
Well, the radios are all in it. There's a little command post set up for emergencies. There's not lights, siren. I mean, to equip a vehicle today, you're probably talking $6,000-7,000 with lights and sirens and.
So that would be extra besides the cost of the vehicle.
Well, I think what I did is I kind of put that in there so that the funding could be all done as one, the vehicle plus equip it.
Oh, okay, okay. I see you've got 5,000 in here for building maintenance. Have you always done that?
Well, not always. I think the level of funding that I asked for might have gone up and down. I have a list of what I've done with the station since 1994, from painting to whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it is off the top of my head at this point. But the reason why I left it in this year is that with the activity and the mold problem that we had at the station, I just had the station again reevaluated for air quality, and it came back fine. However, they did find the mold is coming back downstairs, and it's just a matter of time. So that funding was kind of like, I'll be able to at least take care of that mold when the time comes, so that we don't present a health issue.
Is the request for the exterior of that building been made to civil?
I did. Yeah, I have not heard back, but I did make it, and I'll make an inquiry as to when that quote will come in, or And that information will go out to bid so we can get some.
Yeah, that'd be
Item
interesting,
numbers.
as soon as it's good weather, we should take care of that.
Sure. Well, one of the other things that you'll have to be mindful of, and one of the things that we talked about, once we have a full board, you may want to take some money that's in some existing CIP accounts that we no longer use and go to a special town meeting and request some movement of that monies
Yeah.
into your building maintenance account to have a little more flexibility in addition to whatever capital money you put in this year during the budget process, to take care of that, as well as other things that have been identified by the building committee when they reviewed the buildings. So we'll be able to continue to work on that list that was developed.
Yeah, we still got that roof to do up there too.
Correct.
What's that?
Still got the roof to do on the old schoolhouse.
Yeah.
New community center, whatever you want to call it, annex.
Well, I think if we had that information that we've asked for, it would be helpful, and we're nowhere near ready to make any judgments until we have some of that information. At least I'm not prepared.
Okay, Dennis, on sewer, how are you billed on sewer? I mean, it's, well, I'm not sure, different categories, I know, household.
I think it's quarterly, but I'm not sure.
But I meant, is it?
Get the bill and I put
It's
the
quarterly.
It is, and what's
That's
the, what's the
standard.
amount quarterly?
Everybody's the same.
They're having a public hearing here soon.
22nd.
To increase it, or request or increase,
Yeah.
and hear public input on it. I wanna say it's, what, 112 right now?
You're only considered like a single home? Oh, that's what I was asking.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
what-
sorry.
What category
Right.
was he in? Oh, that's it. Oh, yeah, well, I know what that is.
Okay.
Pay that.
Well, I think there's gonna be some hard questions asked when we finally get, all the figures together. Only because of the times, basically. I don't think we can afford to go up $1.50 this year for 1,000. You got anything else, Alma?
Well, no, it's sticking here. I didn't, nothing that jumps out at me right now. I think I'm, the OS server. What's that, your computer server?
How far down is it, Ellen?
It's,
Right after printing.
yeah, right after printing, 3320.
Says, printing and then OS service. And that's outside services.
Outside
I was just
services.
gonna say, outside, is that outside
Yes,
service?
sorry.
Yeah. At first, it didn't come to me what it was. And that's money you bring in?
Oh, no, that's money for the computer system, to keep the computer system.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
contract.
Yeah.
That's the Mutual Aid Association, being a membership of the mutual aid. Maybe I have that right here. Hold on a second.
Yeah, on your backup sheet should have this on it.
Yes,
It says outside services and programs
I
and
haven't
funds.
got, I didn't get my backup sheet in here tonight, so I don't.
Oh, okay.
have that.
All right.
You're
Do you-
failing.
Do you have it? You do have it, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right,
And I have read it, but I don't know why I didn't put it in. I didn't.
okay.
No, that's all the questions I think that I have right this time.
Okay. What is your pleasure on the 21st then? I mean, today's the 14th, we'll meet on the 21st. That would be a regular selectmen's meeting. What would you like to do that night? Would you like to take up another budget?
Well, we might as well do something and just sit
Yeah.
here and look at each other.
Well, one of the other things I talked about was you guys had shown an interest of perhaps the development of a budget committee. And we can
Yeah,
begin
yes,
the
we did,
process of
yeah.
looking at other warrant articles that you would like to put on your warrant. And one of them that you talked about was a budget committee, so we can spend some time on that. Do you wanna also tackle a budget that night too?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Do you, Bob?
Well, when will that material get, we'd be able to put that together?
We
Any
can-
idea?
We can have the past expenditures for the call system at your next business meeting. We can get you a breakdown of the details of the capital improvement monies by your next meeting. I don't know if the chief's gonna be able to get the quotes for the refurbishing.
Maybe
That may-
tight.
That may
Take
be
some
awful
time.
tight.
Yeah.
The department's calls, we can get you a computer printout of what the calls were from last year.
Why don't we take a smaller budget such as refuse disposal, town dump, whatever you wanna call it.
Well, what we were doing, and the next one in the line here, we were going from the highest one we had down to the lowest, and the next one would be town administration.
Well, you're in trouble with that one, I'll tell you.
It's just over $500,000, so, and then after that would come refuse, which is just under $500,000.
Well, I'm just thinking, if we have other business that we need to look at on the 21st, and I thought if we probably could take a small one
Well, yeah,
at the same time,
but I don't know why we can't.
and
I
then
mean,
take the larger one on the 28th.
But is the administration budget, is $500,000, that's not a huge,
Well, you have to remember, most of the administration budget is top-heavy in personnel. So most of your costs are
It won't be
associated
when we
directly
get
there.
through with you.
But, so it may or may not be something that entertains a lot of discussion with you at the point, even though it seems to be a high number.
okay, but.
I would suggest we just keep going down the list. Is that okay?
Okay, that's fine.
And you can play, but it's kind of, if maybe there's some other business that comes up in the town that we may have to attend to.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
I'll provide you notice, and then I'll develop some sort of business agenda, and we'll post it like we normally would, and then you folks can continue your review of that stuff, even though you can't take any formal votes, at least you can provide direction to
Yep.
us as to what you would like to do. We can go from there.
You know, are you all set?
I am, I just wanted to make sure that we touched that, so I know what we're gonna
21st,
have. Yeah, 21st, we're gonna do that, and we'll begin a review of a budget committee language. You want
that's what
Oh,
I
yeah,
wanted to put down.
Okay. You know, at this point in time, we have a number of residents here. I wonder if anybody cares to speak openly about any particular subject. I mean, we're here, it's still early in the evening, unless you're getting tired.
No, I'm fine.
I would open it up. That's my
Tom.
feeling.
Tom,
Tom? Sure.
A friend of mine who's tech savvy just texted me and suggested that you check out the radios, because a lot of radios are dual band and might be narrow band capable already. Just a thought, as opposed to a total upgrade, that they already have that capability. Not all, but
Dual band by adding to what's already there,
that it's capable of
upgrading, and
compatibility to an upgraded narrowband system already.
any of that kind of information, I think, is valuable. I think it's something that we need to look at all the way around, just to be sure that we're not
I'm just
overdoing things.
relaying the message. I've now tapped out my entire expertise in narrowband.
well, that's what I was just thinking. What I know about those radios is scary. Do you, on your supplies, I think you should add some oil for this chair.
Oh, jeez.
Did you hear it? Every time I move?
Dave?
It's the same chair I sat in.
One thing I would mention, I heard on the cable TV station when Public Works was going over their budget, that they have a mechanic. And I wonder if that mechanic cannot be leveraged to change the oil in the trucks and do some of the maintenance on the trucks and maybe some of the body work that goes along with that. I heard that was a valuable employee at Public Works, and maybe they could be leveraged. I also wondered if while you listen to the different departments go over their budget, it may be helpful to show what their budget has looked like over the last 5 years, a graph that shows where it was and how it's gone up or down. A year-to-year comparison, I believe, is pretty important when you consider if a department needs an increase or decrease at this current year. Another thing we don't hear about or get to see, and maybe it's available, I just don't know where it is the number of employees, full-time and part-time, and the salary of those employees for each of the departments. And that salary should include hourly or regular wages, benefits, and also overtime, and employee contributions to those benefits as well. I think that would be helpful as you're looking to the future to see where you can cut costs, because often personnel is a big part of the cost.
I think we have those figures, Dave.
Okay.
You know, I won't say we have all of them, but I think we have a pretty good handle on the bulk of them, yeah.
Actually, overtime here, he's got budgeted 14,000. What would be considered overtime, Dennis? I guess that's.
Anytime they're called back outside of their scheduled shift,
And that's just, these are just full-time.
that's just the full-time hourly employees.
The volunteers that.
On call,
As on call, they get paid, but not overtime.
No overtime.
Okay.
Anybody else care to speak?
Just one more
Oh.
thing. I just wonder, in these times, if it's been looked at, or would the board be interested in establishing some sort of fact-finding committee to pursue the cost benefit of potentially regionalizing police and fire with South Berwick, and I know Lebanon would probably love to pitch in towards our police budget if they could get some coverage out there with all their home invasions and such that they've had, but it would seem that there may be some benefit in that regard where vehicles could be spread out and from an accounting standpoint coded to the different towns. If you were to enter into a relationship with Lebanon as an example, they have a all-volunteer, non-public funded rescue station. You could eliminate AMR here and in South Berwick, take one of our fire trucks, put it in their rescue station, take one of their rescue vehicles, put it in our fire station, and it just kind of regionalize and combine to increase coverage. And like I said, Lebanon is, in talks I've had with them, they're, as a group, they're pretty much reaching that point where they think it was a bad idea to get rid of their police department.
Do you know how many years ago that was?
Yes, I do.
A long time.
Yeah, but there's some of the key individuals that would be part of that discussion have expressed their interests. I don't know, geographically, I think the idea is challenged to include North Berwick. But maybe if there's some economic gain to it, maybe Dwayne would buy into it a year or two down the road. And I guess overall, and this is really just kind of in its infancy, that you would have satellite locations, not full-blown buildings, departments, and things like that. And the potential of appointing like a public safety commissioner to oversee all, and each department would have a lead person that would report to that public safety. I just think that, you know, in these times, you know, there's so little that separates South Berwick and Lebanon, and, you know, the needs are obviously all similar. Maybe each town could, as I cited, just Berwick could benefit from the elimination of AMR service by some sort of trade-off with Lebanon to share in police presence over there. And then their fire department could benefit from some of our equipment because maybe they don't have the budget that we do. And a stall opens up the rescue station, move one of our trucks there to mutual aid them, and they do our rescue stuff. They've got, I believe, somewhere between 40 and 50 varying degrees of paramedics, EMTs, and as well as, I believe, 2 fully outfitted ambulances.
There's 59, Tom, I spoke to somebody last.
59 various paramedic EMTs, or however it goes. So if,
Who pays these people?
It's all private
I don't know
funded.
why I thought you were back there, Ellen. I'm like, how'd she get back there?
It's all private funded, they do fundraising on their own. and-
They hold events, you know, and, you know, they, I don't know how they do it. Sam, the rescue chief over there, Sam Cole, thanks. She's run that department, to my knowledge, for about 7 to 9 years without a cent of public money. As an example, I believe it was 2 years ago, the author Stephen King donated an ambulance to them, or some ambulance equipment, $100,000. So, I mean, 7 to 9 years without a dime of public money, and to have a 59 personnel department, that whatever model Sam is using, that should be looked at,
It's working.
yeah.
Keith, what do we pay him?
We pay about $35,000 a year.
It's not a lot, I know that,
Last year, 34,196. I just looked it up.
but it might just, it just seems like, you know, just from 30,000 feet, that the pieces seem to,
Yeah, I think they get subsidized through their fundraising as well as their, whatever transportations they make, whatever
Oh, I'm
insurance
sure.
costs are there,
I'm
so.
sure. No, I'm just saying it's an interesting model where,
Yeah, it
you
is.
know, they may be subsidized, but they don't necessarily have an operating budget that's,
Sure.
you know,
But they had to buy the ambulances. Well, you said Stephen King gave 100,000, that might have bought one, but I don't think it equipped it.
actually, I
At one time, we
believe-
looked into that, and we
Yeah.
thought it was very expensive.
Yeah, and I understand that's a unique situation, and, you know, and whatever, you know, his motivation to help out Lebanon, I mean, who could question that? That's a nice thing for anybody to do. But I'm just saying that, aside from that, they've got their 2 ambulances, and there's a lot of calls on 202. They publish all of them. For some reason, it's the straightest road in the world, and people seem to drive right into each other. I just ask you to consider the merit of at least a fact-finding committee to present to you any cost-benefit analysis of a potential regionalization of the police and fire departments of, I haven't spoken with South Berwick, but, and so to that end, I don't know if they'd even be receptive to it. But I can certainly say I've had conversations with people in Lebanon. They're interested in hearing more about it. So even if it's just Berwick and Lebanon, I think there's an opportunity for some savings, and everybody gets better coverage out of the deal. Just something,
It might be an idea for us to, to meet with the board up there and sit down and discuss it.
I think, yeah, at the very least, if
It
there,
doesn't hurt to
if
discuss.
it's determined that there's merit, maybe you form a fact-finding committee that has the authority of the board to interact with these people and exchange numbers and have some brainstorming sessions. I just think it's a time when, you know, we have the benefit of the geographical closeness. You know, if there weren't actual town lines in there, that they're not that far away from our core and our patrol areas and response areas. So something to think about as an opportunity for savings. Can I guarantee you there's a savings? Not sitting here, but it just seems that it should be, in this economy, something we look at.
Thank you, Tom. On that very vein, though, I believe we're in the mutual aid system, correct? Which covers several towns in Maine, as well as towns in New Hampshire, or cities in New Hampshire. And so that regionalization is working to some degree within the fire department aspects of things. The police department, I don't believe we have any kind of, well, we have mutual aid, in fact, that we call them, they call us if the need be, you know, but it's not an exchange of personnel or anything of that nature. Keith has worked with South Berwick in particular. Financially, they're having some problems, I guess. And I know that that has been ongoing for a period of time. To what degree it is right now, it's
Yeah,
the
they're
groundwork
open-
changes.
Right,
Yeah.
they're an open and willing participant in the discussions, but as we get down, you know, we have to work out the logistics, and that's the devil in the details at this point. But I think there are a lot of communities that are thinking the same way you are right now, that we've got to at least open the line of communication to discuss these and see what we can and cannot do in order to make these cost-saving measures happen. And I think the most important thing is that folks want to continue to at least have the same services that they presently are accustomed to. So we have to always keep that in mind as well.
Well, right now, I'm sure you've read that, as an example, Lebanon, 1 month they have York County sheriffs covering them, then the next month they have Maine State Police covering them, so they're pretty much.
It's an oddball situation, isn't it?
Well, nobody wants to go long-term with it. They're saying, you know, we got a problem here, your activity's up, you know, we'll cover you for another 30 days, you know. So I think that clock's ticking for them, but,
Do you think that the people of Lebanon is ready to pass for a police department? Because I went through that with them 3 times, helped them, because they wanted me to pass a law in the legislature that they had to have one. Well, no, you didn't want to do that. But I told them how to get a petition, and they did, and they voted. I think it was 3 times, and it was voted down big time 3 times.
well, I think that negative vote was a symptom of other issues going on in Lebanon at that time.
But I said that was back in,
Right.
you know, in the early 90s, in the 90s.
Yeah, because, I
We're
mean,
dating
they do the
ourselves.
same thing with the town manager, you know, they voted in, they funded.
Voted out.
Yeah, so it's, but I think, with all due respect, I would just say that maybe if there's a committee that's focused on it, where there's, you know, not such an interruption or the potential for an interruption for other town business, you know, they have a group, you know, maybe 3 people from them, 3 people from them, 3 people from us, and just chase it down and see if it's worth.
Well, I think one thing we've got to do is to go back and have the 4 towns meet, the boards of the 4 towns meet, and you know, we can throw these things out at them and discuss them at a meeting such as that, and get the flavor of what even they're looking at or not looking at, or, you know, just to have a good gab session. And then we'll know what, maybe what they're looking forward to. You got another person over there.
Yeah,
Jen,
okay.
I'm
On-
sorry, yep.
On
Go
the
ahead.
same line, they have contacted us about sharing animal control services, and I know they've also contacted Tim and Jerry about offering police services available to the schools somehow. So, I mean, they are going there. I know they do recognize there's some issues. They had a couple of incidents in the school that required police assistance, and they were kind of caught in a bad situation. And I think as soon as that sort of thing gets out to the public, one of the conversations we've been having is about moving grades around and how can we utilize the space in the district effectively, and one of the conversation was shifting borders of the town and sending kids geographically to schools they were closer to. And at one of the loudest complaints we had when we were talking about that was there were kids who didn't want to end up in Lebanon because families were afraid because there was no police department. And I'm not sure that people had really thought about the impact of that till now, so you may see that.
You're gonna
dynamic.
shift what around?
There was a suggestion that in order to alleviate the crowding at the Vivian Hussey School, we move borders around, so kids on the Lebanon end, elementary school age kids.
Oh, the school borders.
Right.
Okay.
Right, in the district. And-
See, you need oil. Please buy some.
That is loud.
Yes, it is.
But anyway, it came up at that meeting, and there were a lot of parents who I don't think had really thought about it, about what the impact of not having a police department was. So you may see a changing dynamic. Then I had one other unrelated question. It would be really nice, particularly now that you're on TV, if when you do your budget presentations, you were able to, like, what David was talking about, be able to have like an LCD somewhere, a slide that shows what you're looking at for a budget and breakdown and part-time, full-time compared to last year sort of thing. Have you thought about, I mean, an LCD projector is not that expensive, and I think it'd be a nice graphic for people here to be able to sort of follow around, and people at home when they're watching it on cable.
Oh, then we can check into it, see how expensive it is.
Craigslist.
I think it'd be nice too, because you might find you have some groups that come in and do presentations for you.
Yeah.
Some kids in schools might wanna come in before this board and do presentations for school projects, and kids are really tech savvy these days. They sort of expect to be.
Smart too on it.
Janet, did you have?
Yeah, I really like that idea because sometimes I'm trying to follow in my head and not seeing, so that helps a lot. And there are some kids who would like to come in and do some presentations to the board to see what they've been doing. Another question I had was, I'm really still confused about the end of the SAFER grant. Did our 4-year obligation end, does it end on June 30th, 2012, or does it end on June 30th, 2013? Because we're talking about the 2013 budget, but I thought our
It ends
4-year ended on the
2013, doesn't
2012.
It's 2013.
Yeah,
it is.
that's what I
Yeah.
understood.
Okay.
2013.
Clearing that up.
Anybody else care to speak? Yes?
Just curious, now with the new procedure, there's just two of you sitting, is there one chair and one vice chair, or does it stay this way until there's a quorum when you can vote in a chair and a vice chair? How does that work?
We're just gonna sit and fight about it.
Okay. Don't arm wrestle.
My money's on Eleanor. No offense, Bob.
We really haven't decided on anything.
We have to have a quorum, pretty much. The items that we can take care of are finance, basically paying wages and that sort of thing. I would like to renege paying the school department because I think their budget's too high, especially with the chairman sitting here. But nevertheless.
You know,
Right there with you.
I have to say, I think you need to contact NEA to help with that.
We do have the rights to pay the state. They made sure that they're in the loop, you know. Everybody else is out there hanging pretty much. But I think the administration did quite well in getting all of the bills that were possible in and paid prior to any event, and so that there'd be minimal disruption in payment services. I would certainly hope most vendors, I think, will go along until our next full quorum would happen, you know. No. Anybody else? You ready to adjourn?
Yeah, I'm ready. I have no more questions from Dennis, and I want to thank him for coming in and explaining it all to us.
Yes.
Thank you,
good.
gentlemen.